Cheers erupt as rescuers pull another survivor from under the rubble of a building that collapsed in Monday's earthquake. Some good news in an increasingly grim situation. More than 48 hours after the quake hit, rescue operations are ongoing. It's been a baptism of fire for Colombia's new president, who'd only been in office a few days when the quake struck.
A tragedy like this plunges all of Colombia into mourning, but that will not prevent us from working together to help this beautiful region of the country move forward, a region of hard-working, patriotic people who want a better future.
Aid agencies say the first 48 to 72 hours following an earthquake are crucial for rescuing survivors. That window is rapidly closing as rescuers work against the clock.
I'm working alongside other people. Yesterday we rescued 2 people alive. We also rescued a cat and a dog. Right now we suspect there are some dead bodies because we can already smell them. The smell is very strong, so we're digging in this area.
The government has declared a national emergency and asked for international help. On Wednesday, Colombia began 3 days of mourning for the victims. But here on the ground, the focus right now is on finding survivors before time runs out.
Well, Loyce Pace is Regional Director for the Americas with the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. She joins us from Panama City. Welcome back to DW. More than 48 hours since disaster struck. How important are the next hours for finding survivors?
Well, thanks for having me back. And as you well know, unfortunately, we know that time is ticking for those who might still be under the rubble. We, of course, will always hold out hope for people whom we can try to save through search and rescue efforts. It's really powerful to see that the work of those volunteers has been successful and that those communities can celebrate in such a dark and dire time. But certainly, as also the gentleman was saying in your report, they're starting to sense that lives have been lost, and it will be just as important to recover those who have lost their lives so that their families can have that closure.
And what are your teams seeing on the ground?
Oh, goodness. I mean, the same devastation that you're showing, it truly is incredible. And it's quite hard because some of these are the same people who did respond in Venezuela just a couple of months ago, including Colombia Red Cross volunteers. And so now this is literally hitting home for them. And we even have some of our structures or their structures, the Colombia Red Cross branches, you know, they have their buildings that have collapsed as well. But we're seeing just truly mass and widespread devastation. This hit over a dozen states or departments in Colombia. Some were harder hit than others, of course. And in a couple of areas, it's really quite hard to get to people. So I think what we're seeing in media reports so far is a lot of dense population areas, densely populated urban areas specifically. But there are rural areas who have been affected by this tragedy as well. And that's going to be even more complicated in terms of how we locate and then service those survivors.
What sort of help are Red Cross teams there providing?
Well, we are teaming up with authorities on the search and rescue efforts because the Colombia Red Cross has such deep experience in doing some of that work. Of course, it's not just about the people who are under the rubble, but people who were able to escape the rubble. And so whether that's providing them with emotional support or other health services, temporary shelters, food and water, just really basic needs people have because, again, you have thousands of buildings that have collapsed, including homes, but also health centers, schools, community centers that would usually be made available to provide these services are not able to do that. And so we as Red Cross are able to show up with those sort of primary or initial first line response needs.
And what are the most urgent needs now?
It's really, it still is very much search and rescue. Again, as you mentioned, we're in the first few days. Even though that clock is ticking, that still remains important. But it's around these really basic services as well. I mean, people are without anything, and it's such a wide swath of the population that has been affected. You have 20,000 homes. I think I saw at last count. We could just continue to get information with each day or night as people get farther and farther into these communities. And so that means you have millions of people who really have been exposed to this emergency and who are really going to require the range of needs. I know the government also has requested support with temporary shelters, with medical supplies or medicines, with food and clean water or water and sanitation devices or options for these communities, and they are working through their diplomatic relationships and with governments as well as agencies like ours to ensure those supplies get into the country and reach these communities in ways that people sorely need.
Okay, so this clearly has been a terrible disaster, but in the way of things, the chances are we, the media, will have moved on to a new story in 2 weeks, 3 weeks' time. Tell us about the job that continues to need to be done once the cameras have left.
I really appreciate this question. We talk a lot about the long road to recovery, and of course, it's great to have the attention in the initial hours or days. It allows us to shine a light on this work, and we've launched a campaign as of today, really calling on the world to contribute to that campaign. We unlocked our own funds as a federation, 1 million francs to begin with, but then this campaign is really meant to bring in 25 million francs. Some people might ask why. Well, it's because beyond these first few days, we're trying to reach tens of thousands of individuals on this longer road to recovery, people who now don't have any access to permanent housing, people who don't necessarily have or are able to continue their livelihoods. People will need cash on hand, as well as these other essentials. You have children who aren't able to go to school for the foreseeable future without those facilities available. And the same with healthcare and other medical needs that will just go unmet unless we are there. And of course, we're there now in the first days, in the first weeks, in the first months. But this is similar to other circumstances where we see this, a longer road. And that's what we're facing and what we hope people will continue to keep in mind, even as the headlines fade.
All right, thank you for joining us. We wish you well. Loyce Pace from the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies.
Thank you.